Varghese, early in the morning, my Twitter was essentially blowing up with one particular news, that about a Tamil Nadu minister. Now, a Tamil Nadu minister, an opposition ruled state, a non-BJP ruled state, DMK is in power over there. The electricity minister of the state of Tamil Nadu, which is Senthil Balaji, he was raided by the Enforcement Directorate. He was questioned for some 15 plus hours. Udayanidhi Stalin, MK Stalin, all these other stalwarts of the DMK go and visit him later on, because he's almost like in a dragged sort of a situation. He lets out a tear also, he's crying. The Enforcement Directorate is almost dragging him, and now we're learning that he's been arrested after 18 hours of questioning in a money laundering case. Take a look at these visuals, Varghese. I mean, that's the minister lying down, and he's broken down. He's crying. Now, people on the internet are calling it crocodile tears. People on the internet are saying, finally, what Arvind Kejriwal was saying is finally happening when he said, you are going to be next. People are saying that this is now the central government's way of, putting pressure on a non-BJP ruled state, using the central agencies, the Enforcement Directorate, the CBI. The opposition has been saying that for the longest time, haven't they?
This
is Senthil Balaji.
This is Senthil Balaji.
What is your point of view on this particular visual first, and what's the case about? But first, I mean, an electricity minister who's crying to the EDs at his door. It questioned him for 18 hours. Now he's arrested.
Well, it certainly makes dramatic television. I mean, it makes dramatic visual, it makes dramatic television. But the politics of it, I think the Hindu has interestingly written about it completely. So that gives us a perspective as to how much of politics can be actually rooted from this. I'm just reading the portion that will be enough for our audience also to understand on. Well, let me read that particular portion as well. This is how it goes in that portion. It says, while the agency did not release any statement till time of going to the press, it is understood that the searches were being conducted in connection with the money laundering related to a job scam that allegedly took place when Mr. Senthil Balaji served as the transport minister during 2011 to 2015 in Jayalalitha's cabinet. It is alleged that the bribe was sought for jobs in the Metropolitan Transport Corporation, and last month, now this is what it's saying, last month the Supreme Court cleared the decks for a probe, saying it also gave the green signal to the ED for probing related money laundering charges against the minister. So said that 3 ED officials and 2 bank managers entered the minister's official chamber to conduct searches. So this is the story. The story is that in between 2011 and 2015, there is a scam that was accused against the minister, who was then, the transport minister, and it was with regard to the Metropolitan Transport Corporation, where the job scam was being highlighted. And Senthil Balaji is said to have served under Jayalalitha's cabinet. Senthil Balaji then shifted to DMK, and he was an AIDMK minister then.
How does this play out? Because you have a K. Annamalai, even as we're looking at visuals of other stalwarts like Stalin and Udayanidhi Stalin, his son, who went out and met Senthil Balaji in the hospital. They've come out with their own statement saying that this is absolutely against human rights. How can you question somebody for almost 24 hours, that too at 2 a.m. in the night?
The questioning and when the entire thing has happened, well, we are not going to comment on that part, because the politics of it is there. But this is also based on the clearance given by the Supreme Court on carrying out with the investigation, and the ED has already said that they want that clearance for the green signal for conducting an investigation on Senthil Balaji on probable money laundering and on this particular scam. So did the proceeds of the scam get linked with the money laundering is something probably that they are looking at or investigating at. So, but it has resulted in a lot of political turmoil in DMK ruled Tamil Nadu, and well, it doesn't stop there. It is being now touted as infringement, intimidation tactic. You have the
Tamil
other
Nadu
opposition
minister. Just reading out a quotation from DMK Rajya Sabha MP NR Ilango. Tamil Nadu electricity minister V. Senthil Balaji was picked up by the ED and brought to Oman Durar Government Hospital. It seems he was not conscious. when he was admitted to the hospital. It is totally illegal and unconstitutional arrest. We will fight it legally. Then you have a word coming in from the Tamil Nadu law minister. This is S. Raghupati. He says Senthil Balaji was targeted and tortured. ED kept questioning him continuously for 24 hours. This is totally against human rights. The ED have to answer to the people and to the courts. Now, interestingly, only yesterday we picked up that particular discussion about K. Annamalai and what is this AIA, DMK and BJP tie. Before that, that particular comment on Jayalalitha, the corruption under Jayalalitha during her tenure, and also Annamalai's DMK files back in the day, if you remember.
Well, Annamalai, I mean, there's lots going on in Tamil Nadu. You have a figure called Annamalai who is trying to project him as the anti-corruption person, and then you have the ties with AIDMK also in focus, in which Annamalai is technically challenging the AIDMK, being the principal opposition.
He doesn't like the AIDMK.
He doesn't like it. And the AIDMK, being an ally of the BJP, has been going to the central leadership and been speaking about Annamalai. Well, that is a different game that is already going on in the political character of it. But since you brought it in, this just adds another layer to it. And I suppose I was in fact saying that there was a lot of people who have reacted to it. Opposition, I was in fact trying to get the reaction of Stalin. Yes, we have it here. In the Hindu, Stalin has in fact said that, I do not understand why there is a need for the search at the Secretariat. Okay, this is where the government offices are. I do not know whether they want to convey the message that they would conduct raids at the Secretariat and use them to threaten us. It clearly shows that the investigation agencies function with ulterior political motives. Now, here is where he has pitched, saying that now you are in my territory. What is your intention? Are you messaging me? This is where the politics starts. So, Senthil Balaji is just a smokescreen for the actual politics that is happening, is what Stalin
basically
is trying to
get the message across to MK Stalin, because that's another debate that is going on Twitter and the internet, which is that, is the central government, I mean, has the buck finally stopped at the DMK's door?
It is a big question. Maybe that could be the case, because he's also reacted like this. He's saying the chief minister said that the BJP government at the center would always make use of the agencies under its control against its political opponents. And I quote what he said over here, which is Stalin, who's saying, I have been saying that it is the only way they know. Many states have witnessed such actions. Mr. Shah strongly criticized the DMK government in public platforms, and we used proper clarifications to those criticisms. But the ED has launched an onslaught on the Secretariat, and it amounts to denigrating federalism. So this has not yet, this is nothing more, it is not just a raid. It has become more of a question of federalism, as Stalin is even pitching the fact that the state governments, whatever sense of autonomy that was there, if, in terms of administration, is also being challenged when it comes to this. But again, I was saying there was a context to this, the context being that there was already a case on Senthil Balaji, or accusation against him, and the Supreme Court clearing the decks on this, and that is why the money laundering, maybe it has come at an opportune time, but then we can't hide away from the politics of this. Then he's also said, he's taken a dig with the AIDMK as well. What they are saying is, though the leaders of that regime of AIDMK did not bother to condemn the action against state autonomy, I issued a statement against it. It is not important who faced the raids, but where it was conducted. So for Stalin, the question is not about the person. The question over here is about Tamil Nadu's Secretariat, Kabir. And this is an important symbolism for them, because they consider it as the place of the state's autonomy. Now, he has pitched it as an anti-federal approach. So I think this is going to just blow up further.
Essentially, we'll have to see how Stalin is going to react to this, because let's not forget, the DMK is one of the biggest.
We should see how the DMK is going. Yes,
it's the largest opposition parties in the parliament as well.
Yeah, it is.
Should you irk the DMK? Should you not irk the DMK ahead of 2024? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Even as MK Stalin has been raising his voice for the NEET UG exam as well, and over there as well in the NEET UG exam, I was reading somewhere that it's quite interesting. Oh well, there you have it. Opposed to exam, Tamil Nadu achieves highest ever tally of the top 50 rankers. I mean, if the camera person could just focus on this particular news piece just for a second. I mean, we've seen MK Stalin make it a part of his mandate as well sometime his manifesto, that he is going to do away with the NEET exam, and now the highest ever tally of top 50 rankers that coming from Tamil Nadu, a state that is so profusely been going against NEET. That is something that we will of course talk about as well. Before we move on, Stalin, how is he going to react, or how are the people going to react? What is going to be the message, the larger message that is going to trickle down to people? Is it going to be that of central agencies now going against opposition parties, or is it going to be the other way around?
Well, it looks like we had Arvind Kejriwal recently bringing out, and you in fact brought that. So the question has always been about all the opposition parties crying out foul that the ED is being weaponized against them.
All right.
So that question is going to be taken into consideration.
It's only going to give into that sentiment. You're right. We'll have to wait and watch how that pans out.